used industrially. The similarities between the Vedic and Greek pantheons are obvious. The tales concerning the principal deities, as well as the verses dealing with a multitude of other lesser deities, sons, wives, daughters, mistresses, are clearly duplicates or originals. Of the Greek tales, there is no doubt that Dios came to mean Zeus, Dios Pitar, Jupiter, Vertina, Uranus, and so on. And, in both instances, the circle of the great gods always stood at 12, no matter what changes took place in the divine succession. How could such similarity arise in two areas so far apart, geographically and in time? Scholars believe that sometime in the 2nd millennium BC a people speaking an Indo-European language and centered in northern Iran or the Caucasus area embarked on great migrations. One group went southeast to India. The Hindus called them Aryans, noble men. They brought with them the Vedas as oral tales. Circa 1500 BC another wave of this Indo-European migration went westward to Europe. Some circled the Black Sea and arrived in Europe via the steppes of Russia. But the main route by which these people and their traditions and religion reached Greece was the shortest one, Asia Minor. Some of the most ancient Greek cities, in fact, lay not on the Greek mainland, but at the western tip of Asia Minor. But who were these Indo-Europeans who chose Anatolia as their abode? Little in Western knowledge shed light on the subject. Once again, the only readily available and reliable source proved to be the Old Testament. There the scholars found several references to the Hittites as the people inhabiting the mountains of Anatolia. Unlike the enmity reflected in the Old Testament toward the Canaanites and other neighbors whose customs were considered an abomination, the Hittites were regarded as friends and allies to Israel. Bathsheba, whom King David coveted, was the wife of Uriah the Hittite, an officer in King David's army. King Solomon, who forged alliances by marrying the daughters of foreign kings, took as wives the daughters both of an Egyptian pharaoh and of a Hittite king. At another time, an invading Syrian army fled upon hearing a rumor that the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians. These brief allusions to the Hittites reveal the high esteem in which their military abilities were held by other peoples of the ancient Near East. With the decipherment of the Egyptian hieroglyphs, and, later on, of the Mesopotamian inscriptions, scholars have come across numerous references to a land of Hatti as a large and powerful kingdom in Anatolia. Could such an important power have left no trace? For armed with the clues provided in the Egyptian and Mesopotamian texts, the scholars embarked on excavations of ancient sites in Anatolia's hilly regions. The efforts paid off. They found Hittite cities, palaces, royal treasures, royal tombs, temples, religious objects, tools, weapons, art objects. Above all, they found many inscriptions, both in a pictographic script and in cuneiform. The biblical Hittites had come to life. A unique monument bequeathed to us by the ancient Near East is a rock carving outside the ancient Hittite capital. The site is nowadays called Zecharia, which in Turkish means inscribed rock. After passing through gateways and sanctuaries, the ancient worshipper came into an open-air gallery, an opening among a semicircle of rocks, on which all the gods of the Hittites were depicted in procession. Marching in from the left is a long procession of primarily male deities, clearly organized in companies of 12. At the extreme left, and thus last to march in this amazing parade, are 12 deities who look identical, all carrying the same weapon. The middle group of 12 marchers includes some deities who look older, some who bear diversified weapons, and 2 who are highlighted by a divine symbol. The third front group of 12 is clearly made up of the more important male and female deities. Their weapons and emblems are more varied, for have the divine celestial symbol above them, 2 are winged. This group also includes non-divine participants, 2 bulls holding up the globe, and the king of the Hittites, wearing a skull cap and standing under the emblem of the winged disc. Marching in from the right were 2 groups of female deities. The rock carvings are, however, too mutilated to ascertain their full original number. We will probably not be wrong in assuming that they, too, made up 2 companies of 12 each. The 2 processions from the left and from the right met at a central panel which clearly depicted great gods, for they were all shown elevated, standing atop mountains, animals, birds, or even on the shoulders of divine attendants. Much effort was invested by scholars, for example, Ila Roche, Lee Pan, Eonda A. Silicaia, to determine from the depictions the hieroglyphic symbols as well as from partly legible texts and god names that were actually carved on the rocks, the names, titles, and roles of the deities included in the procession. But it is clear that the Hittite pantheon, too, was governed by the Olympian 12. The lesser gods were organized in groups of 12, and the great gods on earth were associated with 12 celestial bodies. That the pantheon was governed by the sacred number 12 is made additionally certain by yet another Hittite monument, a masonry shrine found near the present-day Zecharia. It clearly depicts the divine couple, surrounded by 10 other gods, making a total of 12. The archaeological finds show conclusively that the Hittites worshipped gods that were of heaven and earth, all interrelated and arranged into a genealogical hierarchy. Some were great and olden gods who were originally of the heavens. Their symbol, which in the Hittite pictographic writing meant divine or heavenly god, looked like a pair of eye goggles. It frequently appeared on round seals as part of a rocket-like object. Other gods were actually present, not merely on earth, but among the Hittites, acting as supreme rulers of the land, appointing the human kings, and instructing the latter in matters of war, treaties, and other international affairs. Heading the physically present Hittite gods was a deity named Tishub, which meant wind blower. He was what scholars call a storm god, associated with winds, thunder, and lightning. He was also nicknamed Bull. Like the Greeks, the Hittites depicted bull worship. Like Jupiter, after him, Tishub was depicted as the god of thunder and lightning, mounted upon a bull. Hittite texts, like later Greek legends, relate how the chief deity had to battle a monster to consolidate his supremacy. A text named by the scholars the myth of the slaying of the dragon identifies Tishub's adversary as the god Yaga. Failing to defeat him in battle, Tishub appealed to the other gods for help, but only one goddess came to his assistance and disposed of Yaga by getting him from Kataparti. Recognizing in such tales the origins of the legend of St. George and the dragon, scholars refer to the adversary smitten by the good god as the dragon. But the fact is that Yaga meant serpent, and that the ancient peoples depicted the evil god as such, as seen in this bas relief from a Hittite site. Zeus, too, as we have shown, battled not a dragon, but a serpent god. As we shall show later on, there was deep meaning attached to these ancient traditions of a struggle between a god of winds and a serpent deity. Here, however, we can only stress that battles among the gods for the divine kingship were reported in the ancient texts as events that had unquestionably taken place. A long and well-preserved Hittite epic tale, entitled Kingship in Heaven, deals with this very subject, the heavenly origin of the gods. The recounter of those pre-mortal events first called upon 12 mighty olden gods to listen to his tale and be witnesses to its accuracy. Let there listen the gods who are in heaven, and those who are upon the dark-hued earth. Let there listen the mighty olden gods, thus establishing that the gods of old were both of heaven and upon earth. The epic lists the 12 mighty olden ones, the forebears of the gods, and assuring their attention, the recounter proceeded to tell how the god, who was king in heaven, came to dark-hued earth formerly. In the olden days, Alalu was king in heaven. He, Alalu, was seated on the throne. Mighty Anu, the first among the gods, stood before him, bowed at his feet, set the drinking cup in his hand. For 9 counted periods, Alalu was king in heaven. In the 9th period, Anu gave battle against Alalu. Alalu was defeated. He fled before Anu. He descended to the dark-hued earth. Down to the dark-hued earth he went. On the throne sat Anu. The epic thus attributed the arrival of a king in heaven upon earth to a usurpation of the throne. A god named Alalu was forcefully deposed from his throne somewhere in the heavens, and, fleeing for his life, descended to dark-hued earth. But that was not the end. The text proceeded to recount how Anu, in turn, was also deposed by a god named Kumarbi, Anu's own brother. By some interpretations, there is no doubt that this epic, written 1,000 years before the Greek legends were composed, was the forerunner of the tale of the deposing of Uranus by Cronus, and of Cronus by Zeus. Even the detail pertaining to the castration of Cronus by Zeus is found in the Hittite text, for that was exactly what Kumarbi did to Anu for 9 counted periods. Anu was king in heaven. In the 9th period, Anu had to do battle with Kumarbi.